Rahul?
Yes, Madam, first see whether Madam is ready, then we will start the program.
I welcome all of you. Good morning, ma'am. Am I audible?
You are not visible, Priya, Madam.
Yes, I'm audible now, no?
Yes, you are audible. Please on your camera.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes. We will
With
request to
your
Madam
permission,
also.
can we start now, ma'am?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
Madam. We'll request to Namrata Madam also to start her video. Yes, good
Welcome,
morning,
Namrata,
Madam.
ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, Priya, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Nathani,
And
madam.
ma'am, your name is reflecting over here as Rahul Chavan.
Yeah, ma'am, some technical problems were there in my account. That's why.
I would like to request Mahajan, madam, please turn on your camera, ma'am. Mahajan, madam को बोल. Madam, nowadays our students are very much familiar with this online platform which is provided by our organization, and our students are very smart students, I can say. I'll give introduction of our students, ma'am. They are very easily doing all these things like online webinars also, and online platform also they are using for their teaching learning process. And our organization also provided us this Microsoft Teams app and this platform for teaching learning purpose. And our principal madam that reflected as a Rahul Chauhan, that is Dr. Poonam Nathani madam. Recently, she got awarded with the Best Teacher Award from University Grants Commission. I would like to congratulate her on this platform because I didn't get opportunity, online virtual opportunity to congratulate on her big achievement. It is not achievement of hers. We feel like it is achievement of us because such a inspiration, such a motivation we are getting from our organization here also. Ma'am, Nathani madam, me and Namrata were classmates in LLM. We shared one class in Asst University, Mumbai. And that time, after that, she went to Agra and I moved to Latur. But I felt why I am here because I have company like Pancha madam, Mahajan madam, all sirs, faculty members, and even our Sanstha, that department, Dayanand College Education Society. I never felt regretted that why I am here, and I'm very happy to work with this organization. Now I would like to request Nathani madam, please welcome our today's guest, Namrata Mishra.
Thank you, Priya Madam. And thank you for your greetings also. At the very outset, on behalf of Dayanand Education Society, Dayanand College of Law, I am very glad to receive and welcome to you, Madam, Advocate Namrata Mishra, Madam. And I express my sincere gratitude for accepting our invitation and consenting to share this platform with our students. Because naturally, your expertise knowledge will help our students in their practice also. The topic which you have selected, that is really very important and crucial one, because not only during the pandemic time, but from long time. It is deeply rooted and widespread in India. The domestic violence, violence against women. There has been alarming increase in the cases of domestic violence, assault, rape, murder against women, and the cases which are being reported and which we get, they are only the tip of iceberg. Actually, many cases they are being unreported only, they are going unreported. Though the constitution has liberated, has added the invisible missiles for the liberation, for the protection of women, but though the many laws are there, but still the stark realities are very different. So on this very important topic, you are there to address our students, to put some to put highlight, especially during the COVID time. COVID-19, which has particularly impacted severely on the certain sections of population, which has affected the billions of women in not only in India but all over the world. So I welcome you, madam, and I feel that we'll be having very fruitful discussion on this very important topic. Thank you once again. I welcome you, madam, here.
Thank you so
And
much, Poonam ma'am. Thank you so much, Poonam ma'am. You've been really humble and kind, and it's like I am really grateful that I am getting an opportunity to interact with the youth and the youngsters because laws are there, and as students of law, we know that there are so many laws. Laws protect us right from cradle to grave, but implementation of laws effectively in our country with huge population is a very challenging task, and this task multiplied during the COVID pandemic scenario, and the result and the outcome is very shocking, and that is why I am approaching, and many women and activists who are working in the field of protection of women as well as children in our country, which are regarded as the most vulnerable sections of the society. So I feel really honored that I am invited over here. I got an opportunity to interact with the youngsters who are the future of our nation, and let's hope so that this session is going to be informative, and with the brainstorming sessions, let's see that we have.
So previous to that, I will interrupt here. Previous to that, our students must also know about who our advocate Namrata Mishra is. For her introduction, I would like to request Dr. Sangeeta Mahajan madam for introduction of our today's guest. Sangeeta madam, over to you. Madam, please unmute करा. Sangeeta madam, Mahajan madam, please start the introduction of our today's guest.
I feel she's having some technical issues.
Okay. May I continue, ma'am?
Yes. Now, madam has joined
No,
through another device.
she
Yes.
joined. Yes. These are the part of technical difficulties. Definitely we will overcome this. Ma'am, whether I am audible, madam? Good morning to our respected management member, Advocate Asst sir. Our today's guest, Namrata Mishra madam, our in-charge principal, Dr. Poonam Nathani madam, and my dear students. Today we have esteemed guest. I am introducing her as she is an advocate and renowned legal profession with more than 18 plus years of experience and is leading global voice on women and child rights. She is a registered advocate on roles at Bar Council of Uttar Pradesh. She is a legal practitioner with more than 18 plus years experience in High Court and District and Session Courts also. She is an acclaimed POSCO lawyer and child protection activist, and she is working as a vice president of Uttar Pradesh Anti-Sexual Harassment Council. She is the president of Indian Lawyers Association in Agra chapter. He is a counselor with Women Helpline number 1090 and works with Uttar Pradesh Police to help women and girls in distress and victims of sexual violence. He is a member of Uttar Pradesh Crime Control Committee, Lucknow, and he is also a member of International Bar Association, London. Till date, he has trained more than 500 educators and more than 150,000 students across India. She was recently conferred the Global Goodwill Ambassador Award from USA and Rex Karmavir Chakra Award instituted by the United Nations in November 2019 for her commendable work. Such a great personality is now in between us to motivate and to give today's national webinar on our today's topic. I welcome you, madam, and thank you for accepting our invitation to guest for today's webinar. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sangeeta ma'am. And you've been really humble. And let's.
Now I would
see.
like to,
Yeah.
Namrata ma'am, he, we are looking forward with your practical experience, madam. What kind of cases you are handled during this special period of pandemic COVID-19? We can say we faced so many issues. Our students faced so many issues. Our organization also faced so many issues, but we never discontinued our teaching learning process because our education society gave us a very good platform like this, and we have organized so many programs also. Now, I would like to request Advocate Namrata Mishra, madam, please start your thought-provoking session as our students are eagerly waiting for your lecture, ma'am.
Okay, I'm just starting, and I hope so that after this session or this session that now it will go through, my dear
कोणाचा माईक
students.
सुरू आहे बंद करा प्लीज. माईक कोणाचं सुरू आहे? Just a minute, ma'am. Kiran Kakade, don't disturb. Okay, Namrata ma'am, you may continue. I request all the students mute yourself and turn off your camera so that she can nicely communicate her thoughts relating to or her practical experiences relating to the violences against women during COVID-19. Over to you, Namrata madam.
Good morning, everybody. I would again thank the principal, the management, and the teachers, and my dear students that we are conducting this session. I would be able to provide a solution, and maybe we will address the shadow pandemic, and that is violence against women, specifically during the COVID-19 situation. So, why it is regarded a shadow pandemic? Well, when lockdown was imposed in March 2020, so it was the words bet against COVID-19 to prevent the outbreak of COVID. All the governments globally had imposed lockdown in their respective countries, and even we were under lockdown. But as a consequence of this lockdown and as a consequence of this COVID pandemic, and it is still prevalent, it is still rampant, and we don't know in how many years the situations will get normal. So what happened was that it has left victims of domestic abuse even more vulnerable and helpless. So why it happened? Let's proceed ahead. Now these I had actively participated as a counselor of for distressed women and victims of domestic violence during pandemic. And I was working, and I still am working along with the UP police. So these are some phrases that generally the victims of domestic violence they have spoken these. So all these I am sharing with you. Let's consider, so that we'll be able to understand the gravity of the situation. If you have to alter your behavior because you are frightened of how your partner will react to your behavior, so the consequence of this is that you are being abused. The second is, I am living in hell from one day to the next, but there is nothing I can do to escape, and I don't know where I would go if I did. So many victims of violence, they really don't know how to escape and how to tackle the situation. And I must tell you that domestic violence is not only done by husbands, but it can be inflicted by your parents or your grandparents or your relatives or your siblings or any other family members. And it is the relationship of abuse in a different word, I would say. And it doesn't it's not that only uneducated people or people in living in distressed families or broken households, they faced domestic violence. But domestic violence can affect any woman or any girl or any boy also, whether they are educated or uneducated, whether they are rich or poor, or whether they are working women or homemakers. So it doesn't leave anybody. Another survivor says that I feel utterly powerless, and that feeling is my prison. Why do I feel that I am trapped? Because I entered here with my free will, but I locked the door and threw away the key, and I don't know where is the key now. So that's why I will remain caged. I will remain trapped. And the next is she could just pack up and leave, but she couldn't visualize what's beyond ahead. It happens that the victims, they feel that okay, they can run to from the situation that they are feeling, but still they don't know, and nobody told them, nobody made them aware that how you can address a situation, how you can address a challenging situation, and how you can address violence. And that is why sensitization and awareness is the key. And if you will be sensitized in your studenthood only, then I am sure that all the participants, each one of you, you will have a very good and balanced life in future, because you know how to address the difficult and the most challenging part, and that is violence, if violence is inflicted upon you. Now, why we regard it as a shadow pandemic? Because everything came to a staggering halt with the outbreak of COVID pandemic. All of you are aware of it, and we are still experiencing the outbreak of the third wave of COVID pandemic. But one thing didn't stop, rather instances of all types of violence, and specifically domestic violence against women, girls and boys intensified during the pandemic. So that's why we can say that it is a crisis within the four corners of your home. And to your surprise, my dear participants, every third woman since the age of 15 years has faced various forms of domestic violence in our country, and about 1 in 10 women have experienced even sexual violence at home. Now from this infographic, you will see that the situation before the pandemic was that 243 million women and girls from the age of 15 to 49 experienced sexual and or physical violence by an intimate partner in the last year. Okay, so but what happened since the pandemic outbreak? Violence against women, specifically domestic violence, has intensified. And what led to it? What were the factors that contributed in spreading domestic violence? Well, security, health, and money were the problem, where people were really worried. There was a huge financial crunch, and there were many men, working men and women, who had to face financial crunch because they were laid off from their companies, or their salaries uh, got delayed, and the people were living in cramped living conditions, in which there was shortage of food, there was shortage of going out and seeking the intervention of specialists, of police, or fellow neighbors. Why? Because you were locked and under the four walls of your house, and in the house you must feel the most secured and safe place in the world has to be your house. But on the contrary, if that only is the root cause of violence, and it adds to trauma, so then your life really worsens and becomes a hell. And yes, there were more practical things, that challenges that people face, that we were living in constantly with our abusers, and there were also movement restrictions. So deserted public places were there, and hence these were the problems that many women, many children face in their own respective family. Now we can see this also, that there has been surge in domestic violence cases. Like it is telling about 700% increase in number of calls to a domestic abuse helpline in UK, and in France such cases rose to more than 30%. And in India, what happened? Well, 100% increase in domestic abuse cases were recorded on in India, specifically in the last 2 years. And 616 complaints of domestic abuse were received only in Tamil Nadu helpline between March 25 to May 14. So these are some recorded data. That's why we are able to talk about it. Now, again, a concern will come in your mind, that why do we need to talk about domestic violence? Well, if the reason is that if we have to fight discrimination and injustice against women, then we must start where we must start. We must start from our respective homes. For if a woman cannot feel safe in her own house, then she cannot be expected to be safe anywhere else in the whole world. That's why we have to be more vigilant, and we have to have solutions to tackle such situations on our home front if we are facing. So from this infographic, you can see that, there were triggers of domestic violence in times of COVID-19, and most of the time the victims were isolated with a manipulative partner. Now, manipulative partners, as a family lawyer and as a person who's, giving solutions and fighting for the justice of violence from, specifically giving protection to women in abusive relationship, I must say that, manipulative partner can be termed as a toxic partner as well. Because one way or the other, the person will emotionally blackmail his partner that, he will die if she will leave him. And once she is giving him a chance to improve upon their relationship, then he starts exploiting her and abusing her and manipulating her tactfully according to his wishful thinking. So these are very dangerous kind of partners that a female can have and has to face. And so when you are isolated with a manipulative partner, it's difficult for you to out of such trapped marital relationships. Is major financial crunch when you don't have money, where you will go, how you will live up your life. And it's not, coming out of any violent relationship takes a lot of courage, but it also requires a woman to be financially independent. And that is why the teachers and all of us want to highlight and stress on the need to educate women and educate girl, because if you are educated, then in any crisis situation, whatever you face, you will overcome it by becoming financially independent. And the third is anxiety due to uncertainty. The abusers are also anxious because they don't know, like right now also we don't know, when will situations normalize in our country. So the same is with the abusers, and especially those abusers who are toxic males. So what happens with them is that they are also uncertain and they have financial issues. So they have that aggressive mindset and frustrated behavior, and whom they will regard as a punching bag? Their partners, their wife, and in fact, even their children. And you can see that 42% Indian men see no wrong in hitting their wives, according to the National Family Health Survey. Now, see, this is the thing, this is a data which all of us must reconsider, and we must, think about it. We have to be very thoughtful that why in our countries, why in our families it is okay and it is normalized that beating a woman or beating a child in order to discipline them might, is okay. It is not okay. Now, that corporal punishment with the effect of Right to Education Act 2009, corporal punishment is banned in schools and in colleges, and parents also who are hitting and kicking and physically abusing their children might be prosecuted under a child specific legislation, that is POCSO. So we have laws in place for behaviors, and we have a workplace harassment law also, that is POSH. So with the enforcement of such legislations, we have to be very mindful, and we have to be sensitized, and we need to be aware that there are certain laws and our actions. If we are beating somebody, if we are beating and kicking somebody, a woman or a child, then we might be prosecuted and we have committed a crime. So it's high time that we all must be sensitized about it. And you are seeing that 700 domestic violence cases were reported only in one particular state, that was Punjab. And then 400 domestic violence complaints were received online on WhatsApp number of the National Commission of Women. I will be sharing this WhatsApp number with all of you, because it is acceptable throughout the nation, and it's a distress number that you all must note down. I will share it with you in my later slides. And it's written over here that 15 million were expected rise in domestic violence cases around the world. So it's not that all of us are alone, only in India it is happening. The women and children globally are getting affected. Why? Because whether it's a developed or an underdeveloped or a developing nation, the reason is this: major financial crunch, there is anxiety, there is uncertainty, or they are living under isolation with a manipulative partner. So that is how cases increase. Over here also in this figure you can find, this is by the National Family and Health Survey 4, in which it is shown that 33% of ever married women have experienced physical, sexual or emotional violence. Now, what is a physical, sexual and emotional abuse and violence? I will explain it to you in my later slide. But over here, let's, just have a look on this data and this figure. So they also say that 26% of married women have experienced at least one form of violence in the last 12 months. This is during the COVID pandemic. Then 4% of experience, 4% of women have even experienced violence when they were pregnant and during their vulnerable and sensitive physical state. And 82.8% report their current husbands and perpetrators as the perpetrators of violence. And as principal ma'am had, rightly, addressed a situation that many cases in our country are not even reported. So this that we are talking and discussing about is only, my dear participants, is only the reported data. All these statistics is based on the cases that were reported. And just imagine the scenario in which number of cases are not reported due to various reasons in our country. I will take you that also in the next slide. So we have seen all these infographics, and now we are just thinking that what is domestic violence? When we are talking about all this and we are talking about percentage of women and children affected by violence, what actually is a domestic violence? Well, domestic violence is any violence committed in victim's domestic circle, in a closed circle, in a circle that is a circle of trust. And the term domestic is used when there is a close relationship between the victim and the abuser. And violence is always, in fact, I must say, the result of power and control. Somebody feels happy, by beating me or slapping me on my face, because it gives that person the power and control that, okay, I can slap Namrata and, she is powerless. She can't do anything. I have control over her. So, it gives us a sense of, ego satisfaction to the person who is slapping me and beating me physically. And that is violence. In instances of domestic violence, the victim is generally dependent on the abuser. So you are seeing that there's a relationship of control, because the person knows that if I will beat so-and-so person, then also the person won't do anything. Why? Because that person is completely dependent on me. I am responsible for maintaining and for the welfare of that person. And that's why, I have the power, I have the control that I can even hit the person. Why? Because even my father was doing so with my mother, and in fact my grandfather was also doing the same thing with my grandmother. So I have observed it in my family. And this happens that when women only sulk in silence, our mothers, our grandmothers, great grandmothers, and women who from ancient India, they were hesitant to raise their voice against any wrongdoing or any violence being inflicted on them. So that is why it's always, we are sensitizing all of you that if you face any situation, then you just don't remain silent. You have the right to speak up and address your situations, because with intervention, you will be provided relief. Now, what is the legal definition of domestic violence in legal term? Well, there is a specific legislation that was introduced in India in 2005. It is applicable in all over India except for the state of Jammu and Kashmir. And this is the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act. So this particular legislation, it defines any act, any omission or commission of following situations. Now, I've simplified it, the law, in very simple, plain layman language. And the situations are, if any woman is being harassed or harmed or faces injury, or if there is a threat to her life or well-being, and whether that threat is physical or mental, then she is a victim of domestic violence under this act. What is the second scenario? If a woman is being threatened or harmed or harassed for the purpose of demanding dowry or other valuable property. So the family members, the in-laws, or the husband are forcing her to bring money or any valuable item for their household. So in that scenario also, they have inflicted domestic violence against the women, and the women is entitled to file a case under this act and seek justice and protection. The third situation, domestic violence includes Physical abuse, not only physical abuse, but mental abuse also, verbal abuse also. Somebody is just heralding, all kind of languages, all kind of slangs and abuses when he or she drinks, and on the person, on their intimate partner. Now that amounts to commission of a verbal abuse. And if you are living in this kind of shared household, then it's very important that you should not suffer in silence, and you must seek intervention. Timely intervention really saves life, I must tell you. And so it can be sexual abuse as well, and economic abuse of women. Now during pandemic, there were many females who were facing economic abuse, and we have counseled them when I am working with the women helpline number. So this was one particular kind of abuse that we face. Many cases. I must say there must be 45% of cases that we have, counseled were based on economic abuse by their partners. So it can be by their partner or any family member. So domestic violence definition has been simplified by me. Now, as you can see that we will now move to the types of domestic abuse. First and the foremost is physical abuse. So what are physical abuses? Any examples? Slapping, hitting, kicking, punching, beating, any violent conduct that you commit on another person, specifically female, then physical abuse under Domestic Violence Act takes place. And this also includes when a woman or a wife is being forced to use alcohol and drugs. There were some females, some army wives who approached us, the UP police, and they were like, their husband, they were teetotaler. They were not drinking any alcohol, but their husbands were forcing them to drink it, and they wanted to force them because according to them, it was normal in army and armed forces families, and that they must drink. So if somebody is a teetotaler, you cannot force somebody, and they were forcing the ladies to such an extent that, they were inflicting injuries on them. That is when they sought the intervention of police, and we intervened. So if somebody is forcing you to drink or forcing you to take drugs or any, psychotropic substance, so and in inflicting injury on you, that means you are being affected of physical abuse under Domestic Violence Act. And I must tell you, they were very, very educated. I must say, I was approached by 2-3 educators, the principals of their all organizations, and they wanted my timely help. That when they were suffering from any disease, or one lady came to me that she had fractured her leg, and the husband was not taking the wife, for medical treatment. And because she was earning, then husband was like, you are earning, so you go, and I am not going to provide for your medical treatment. So in this situation also we intervened, and now we are counseling the husband and the wife, because the wife wants to seek divorce with such a toxic person. So if somebody, your life partner, is denying you of medical treatment when you need it, even this comes under domestic abuse, and it is a physical form of abuse. Now, what is in sexual abuse? Well, scenarios in which the abuser forcefully tries to make sexual contact with the victim without her consent. Now, marital rape, there are many PILs in cases already going on in respective high courts in India on marital rape, and making marital rape as a criminal offense. And it's still debatable. Let's see what comes out of it. But many women, I must say, more than, we don't have data right now with me, but I can tell you, with confidence, and that it will be more than 50% of married women who are the victims of marital rape. And physical violence, which is followed by sex or attacking the vulnerable parts, the reproductive organs of a female after having sex. So all these kind of behaviors uh, that is not expected of a decent human being are regarded as abuse of sexual nature. Now the third is emotional abuse. Emotional abuse is when you are emptying the victim's sense of self-esteem or her dignity or self-worth, and you are discrediting her for whatever she does, and you are never happy with her, and always constantly humiliate her whatever good she does. She, despite of the fact that she is working, she is also taking care of the house, and instead of appreciating this fact, you think that the wife is a servant, and it is only her primary responsibility to take care of the house, the household chores, and the children. Then in 21st century over here in India, with revived laws which protect women from every angle, I must say, then all such males, all such toxic males, all such males who still believe in the patriarchal society, they must understand that they are emotionally abusing a person. Mental abuse or psychological or emotional abuse is also a ground of divorce under Hindu Marriage Act. So many husbands, they just charge the wives with baseless allegations, or just try to put them down by attacking and assassinating their character or their moral conduct. So all the effect that a person faces is regarded as a victim of emotional or psychological abuse. Now there is this term economic or financial abuse, in which a wife is not given sufficient money to take care of herself or her needs, and she is completely dependent on the husband, on the abusive husband, for money. And among rural India women and many women who are the homemakers, this is one primary reason that they stick with their abuser, because they don't know how they will earn their bread, how will they live their life if they take a bold step and move out of such an abusive relationship. And the new kind of abuse, this is specifically immersed in lockdown, I must say, during pandemic, and this is technological abuse. So what is technology? When you are using technology to hold and control a partner. Okay, you are blocking her parents' number, and you do not allow to provide a smartphone, CDMA phone to your wife. Many females come to us like this, that I am denied to, and the person is so controlling that the person does not allow me to even talk to my parents. So if somebody is doing like that, so it's a technological, the person is a victim of a technological abuse. So what are the reasons? As I have discussed one with you, one scenario, one primary reason for domestic violence in India is alcoholism. So men think that when they are intoxicated, so they get the license to violate and to abuse their life partner. And this is not the case. And alcoholism to a socially acceptable level is fine. But when you become addicted on daily basis, so this is one thing that will not only ruin your own life, your own body, but it will also ruin your relationships and your children's future. So be very careful when you use alcohol and when you start drinking alcohol, because this is number one reason of domestic violence in India. Second is infidelity. Now, yes, in family law, we keep on getting lot of cases in which husbands and wives, both partners have extramarital affairs. But this is a reason of domestic violence, that somebody is exploiting the trust of the person's trust and confidence of their life partner, and having extramarital relationship, which might be sound very tempting to you, but it has long-term repercussions, and in many cases it only results in separations of the parties, and one party that really suffers between all these infidelity issues are the children of the such couples. The third over here is still rampant, that is dowry, despite of a specific law, that is Dowry Prohibition Act, in place, in which not only taking and receiving dowry, but also giving dowry is also a criminal offense. Still, in many of our households in India, I must say that this is still rampant, and the in-laws and the husband got a license that they have to demand, and the wife has to just entertain their wishful demands of dowry, and that is why she becomes a victim of domestic abuse. The fourth factor is economic crisis. We know that because there is pandemic, so there is a problem. There is a financial crisis. There is economic crisis. Many industries have incurred losses. In fact, legal industry is incurred losses as well. And so when you have a financial crunch, it makes you frustrated. And in this scenario, there might be problems. It's natural that problems will arise and quarrel between the family, between the couple will take place. Why? Because the basic requirements are not fulfilled. What are the basic requirements of any human being? Food, clothing, and shelter. So if you don't have sufficient food, then wife will definitely fight with you that what will I cook when you are not providing me any resources. So this is one natural consequence of economic crisis. And the last is personality disorders. Now in India, we still regard mental health as taboo, and there are men who have some borderline personality disorders, some mental health disorders that their parents are aware of, but they don't want to accept, and they don't want to take their son to a therapist, and they just think that okay, if I get this son married to a woman, maybe the disorder will disappear. But it doesn't happen. It not only intensifies the condition of their son, but also spoils the life of the female whom they are getting their son married. So due to some personality disorders also, people become and act like maniac and like monsters, and they just think that they have the license to abuse and to cause violence against women. Now next slide is, why is domestic violence underreported in India? So we were talking about this earlier. Because our societal norms have normalized domestic violence. It's okay for mummy or papa to beat me if I don't, secure good marks in my classes, in my, respective year of learning. So it's also normalized. Physical beating is normalized. And yes, out of embarrassment also, many women, specifically many married women, many working women, they do not, or maybe women of very good family, culturally rich family, when they also are afraid and hesitant to come out of toxic marriage out of embarrassment, that they might, what will people say, and people will make fun of me. So, and then there is a fear of retaliation. People are scared that, okay, if I try to run away from this relationship, maybe, the person will have the sole custody of the children in the family, and I will be left without any child. And this is a harsh reality when two couples fight, when there is violence between them. So as an outcome of, natural outcome of this, children do suffer. And yeah, custody is one thing in which both of them fight. And then even the vulnerable children also have to face the court and the ugly system, ugly legal mechanisms. So this is it. fear of retaliation is there. Then, as I mentioned earlier, it was financial dependency. And also in India, when it comes to any violence, not only domestic violence, but sexual violence or any other offense in which women is violated sexually, physically, emotionally, then the society thinks and always points finger at the women, that what the woman was wearing, where was she going, why was she out, and so this is the reason that we don't sensitize our boys, and we only try to discipline our girls. When we have this kind of attitude in our parenting also, then gender parity will always exist, and a victim will never come out in open and share his or her story, because she will know that nobody will listen, and she only will be blamed for her consequence. So this is one, these are some of the reasons that why people are still silent and still reluctant to report any form of abuse in our country. Now some quick questions, and I would request all of you whosoever can reply, then please reply it in the chat box, and Priya ma'am and Sangeeta ma'am will look into it, and when we'll have the question and answer session, then we can discuss them. So can an abuse, question number 1 is, can an abuse of a child form part of domestic violence? You can write in your chat box, yes or no. We were only talking about husband and wife and women. So now even if a child is being abused, what will happen to it? Well, the answer to this is yes. Even a child, if a child who is abused domestically in his or her surroundings, then even he can become a part of domestic violence. But now after 2012, after the successful implementation of India's first gender neutral act, that is POCSO, that is Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, and Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act. So these are certain acts when a child has been abused in a way, or even sexually, or if any harassment is taking place, then a child can seek recourse. And if a child is being beaten up, then under Right to Education Act, a child can seek recourse, and also under domestic violence a child can seek protection. Now the second question is, can an abuse of a senior citizen also form part of domestic abuse? Yes, even abuse of a senior citizen can also form part of a domestic violence. And we have a Senior Citizen Welfare and Care and Protection Act, which is in place in India. But and you also know that it is a duty, it is the equal duty of the daughters and the sons and the married daughters also to maintain and provide welfare and maintenance to their elderly parents. It's not only the responsibility of your brothers, but if when women has the right to over the property, equal right when a daughter is sharing with her brother, a daughter and son have equal right to father's property. You must have learned it in your property law. When you are sharing equally the right, then isn't the responsibility of taking care of your elderly parents also be treated equally? Why only brothers have to take care of their your parents? Even daughters have the liability. And this is what I wanted to also talk about, that in most of the conversations we only talk about rights of women and empowering women. But what about the roles and responsibilities and the duties of women and girls? We must never forget that also. And will honor-based violence form part of domestic violence? Yes, it might form part of a domestic violence in which your parents are, abusing you, and you can seek the help of police and intervention, and you can also file a complaint against your own parents. Now, what are the signs of controlling men prone to domestic violence? So there must be something going on in the head of a man who is actually troubling and controlling and creating violence every day at home. What can be the situation? Either he might be extremely jealous, maybe of the personality his spouse has, or maybe the spouse is earning more, or maybe the spouse has lots of social followers and a very good reputation in society. So and people from opposite sex are also her friends. So in this scenario, the person might feel extremely jealous, and this will aggravate a condition in which he might inflict abuse and violence on his partner. The second is isolating behavior. The third is intimidation and threats. They just prefer that a person is isolated, and they are so possessive, they don't want their partner to go anywhere else or to talk to anybody else, and they would just like to only isolate their partner. And if a person is overtly possessive with their partners, then such partners, if the partner will not listen to them, they might inflict abuse of any form on their spouse. Third is intimidation and threats. They will manipulate, they will emotional manipulation, the last point is there, and they will just intimidate the person that okay, something will happen, or I will kill you, or I will kill your children, or I will any kind of situation the person can threaten the spouse, that if they will not listen to him or her, then they will have to suffer the repercussions. So under these situations, extreme jealousy, isolating behavior, intimidation and threats, and by using a controlling behavior and emotional manipulation, they try to inflict abuse on their spouse. And I have already discussed that even other family members, if they are also very controlling and they are also manipulating you, or they are also threatening or intimidating you of burning you. There are many brides who are burned and they die of this heinous act in which the family members, they burn you, your in-laws and all. So in that scenario also, abuse in such a aggravated form has taken place. Now there are certain other laws apart from Domestic Violence Act, and we have IPC. There are certain sections. The section 315 to 316 talks about forcefully ending the pregnancy of a woman, and asking the woman to go in for abortion. And such women can take the recourse of IPC and Domestic Violence Act and file a case against her husband in this scenario. The second is, I was talking about dowry, that by even burning the wife in many serious and conditions and scenarios. So that is another section, IPC section 304B. Then we have IPC section 305 and 6, which talks about abetment to suicide. So you are emotionally manipulating and threatening and intimidating your spouse to such an extent that the spouse is going through a trauma, and then she is affected mentally, and to such an extent because she had never been taken to a psychologist or to a therapist or to a psychiatrist to seek remedy for her mental state, and it worsens to such an extent that the person commits suicide. And so in that cases, who abetted her to suicide, who created conditions in which she thought that she had no other solution but to take her life. So that abettor, that husband or his parents can be booked under section 305 and 306 of IPC. Now, section 349 talks of wrongful confinement and wrongful restraint. Every woman, whether she is married or unmarried, or whether she is in a live-in relationship with a man, can and she has a right that should have the liberty to come and go, and to movement should be there. If somebody is wrongfully confined in the four walls of a room and kept under lock and key, then it amounts to wrongful confinement and wrongful restraint, and she can seek the recourse of this particular section. Now, this is a very important section, and many males, many married men come to me that, Madam, protect us, because our wife has filed a case under section 490A on us. So this is, men are very afraid of this particular section, and that is section 498A. It talks about cruelty and harassment for dowry by husband or husband's family members. And this is recognized as a criminal offense, and cruelty is also a ground of divorce under Hindu Marriage Act. So, but wrongfully using this is also prevalent now, and many women are, when they know about their right, and they are not, they are abusing the right, or they are misusing this right also. And in such a scenario, men are becoming victim and men are committing suicide. So, and seriously, men have now to such a state and extent, they have been what do I say, that they had been violated and they had been abused, that they are maybe in some years time you might have an independent men's right commission in India. So talks are already going on, and there are a lot of lawyers and activists. Even I, as a women and child right activist, support such men, and they must have high time that injustice and unfairness, whether it's shown to a woman or to a man, both are wrong. Somebody who's really and genuinely in need of law, and that can seek protection under these all sections. But when you are just getting a kick out of it, and in a sense of retaliation you are doing it, or you want to intimidate your own life partner or your husband, or you want to extract money from your husband, and then you impose a false allegation of domestic violence or abuse, physical, sexual, emotional, then that is wrong, and it should be this practice must be curbed, because now high courts have been very serious and they are imposing financial penalties to such women, and under certain sections even they can be punished with imprisonment, which ranges from 6 months to 2 years to 3 years. So be mindful, all of you. This enlightening session and awareness session is, today we are having not to misuse the law, but to use the law sensibly when there is a need, when there is a calling that we have to use the law. Last point is Dowry Prohibition Act. Now, protection, who is protected under Domestic Violence Act? Married women are protected, live-in partners are protected, unmarried women are protected, mother is protected, mother-in-law is protected. I am fighting a case in which a mother-in-law has filed a case against her daughter-in-law, that daughter-in-law is beating her, and she has recorded evidence and videos that daughter-in-law is physically abusing her own mother-in-law. So I am fighting a case over here in district court in this regard, that mother-in-law has under Domestic Violence Act filed a case against a daughter-in-law. So this law that people think that is only for safeguarding the rights of daughter-in-laws is untrue, because the law says that even your grandmother can seek protection, your daughters, your sisters, and married women, living partner, unmarried women, all of mother-in-laws, every woman can seek protection under Domestic Violence Act. Now, there's a simple query that if a partner or a family member of the victim perpetrate domestic violence upon her, can he go to jail? Well, yes, this is a civil as well as a criminal wrong, so he can go to jail. inflicting physical violence on a wife or daughter-in-law and subjecting her to cruelty, whether it's a mental cruelty or physical cruelty or emotional cruelty in a marriage, is not only civil offense, and not only it's a ground for divorce, but also a criminal offense, and husband or other family members who abuse the woman can be put behind bar for a period of 3 years. Okay. Now, how to file a case against an abusive husband? Now you have mustered up the courage that, okay, I have to come out of this abusive relationship. So what should you do? You must, at the time of abuse, call the police. What is the number of police? Earlier it was 100. Now it is 112. National helpline number. National helpline number of police. 112. Just dial it. Or you can make a complaint against your abuser for domestic violence, or you can get you also have to get the medical report done. Many a times female when who do not have a supportive medical report along with their complaint, then when they fight this case in the court, then their position becomes weaker, and as a legal advice, we advise that any abuse, because court needs evidence and proof, and if you are raising finger at your partner, so you must have sufficient evidences also against your partner, because that will then make your position and your a bit stronger, and you will then seek justice, and you might win a case. And a domestic violence complaint under section 12 of Domestic Violence Act 2005 for physical, mental or sexual abuse can be filed in the nearest district court at any time. So no limitation act applies on it. You can file it at any time. Maybe the abuse happened 2 days before, or 2 months before, or 2 years before. You can file at any time. But you need to, your complaint must have substantiative evidence to prove what you are writing. Okay, otherwise people will think, and the police and the court will think, that you are lying to them. So when filing a case, you need to make chronology of every fact and incident of abuse and torture. Day wise, month wise, approximately you have to write when, what happened. And you are not supposed to delete any abusive text or any email or any recording or anything that can be used as evidence in the court. Now, there are many victims, specifically girls, who are being molested, or who are being stalked, or who are the victims of even online abuse in today's scenario. And somebody is just, flashing, his body parts to them through messengers or through Instagram chats, and sending them vulgar pictures and videos. So what happens is, these females will just, because it's very embarrassing, so you will just delete all that. But once you delete it, and if you go and report this cyber crime in a cyber cell of your city or your state, then they will ask, what did he do? And then you have no, evidence. So that's why we advise the victims that they have to also retain the abusive text or email or any recording that you have, because again, this will give you an edge, and you might win your case. So the next question is, if you file a domestic violence case, do you lose your right to reside in your husband's house? Now it's a very good scenario. Many females think that, okay, they will lose their right, but no, this is not the case. If you are, you have not filed a divorce proceeding against your husband, and you have only filed a domestic violence petition under Domestic Violence Act against your husband, then you have the whole right to reside in the shared household. And despite of the fact that this house doesn't belong to your husband and it belongs to your in-laws. So the law wants to protect the vulnerable women, and women should not feel victimized, and they must not feel hesitant in reporting the crimes. That's why this cover is provided to them. Now, what to do if your father beats your mother? I'm sure many of us have come this and have seen this scenario, and this is something that all of us are scared of, and we don't want that our parents must fight. Husband and wife do fight, and arguments are okay, but when arguments are converted into actions and beatings and kickings, and it takes a form of abuse, then they are not justified in any married couple's life. And if your father beats your mother, then as a child and now as an aware law student, and as an aware citizen of India, you must seek the intervention of police. You must dial 112, or you must dial 100, or you must dial a national women helpline number, that is 181, and seek the intervention as soon as possible. Because now you are aware, you know that there is law that might protect your mother from your abusive father. Because if he is so abusive that he is beating your mother, then he might also one day start beating you or your siblings. So it's always good that you address it when this is happening. And fathers then will understand, once their own children will file case against them, then father will understand the gravity of situation, and his thinking that beating wife is normal might change. So laws are made and enforced not only to protect, but also to restrict and prevent such happenings again in the future. Now the next question is, what rights do daughters have if they are being abused by their parents? Well, even daughters can go and seek the relief, and they can go and file complaint against their own parents, because to the police, because daughters have the rights to take protection from court also, and unmarried daughters can claim maintenance and other residential rights from her parents. So if daughters were not aware of it, your parents have legal duty to provide you of good education and health, nutrition, food, and till the time you are independent, or you are financially independent, or you are married, it is a responsibility of your parents to take care of you. And to sons, in fact, any son also, they are under their parents duty and care till the time they are of 21 years of age. Now, by the way, the age of marriage is supposed to, now it has increased for girls now, and it is from 18 years, it is increased to 21 years. Now, what if a child is sexually violated at home? I was told by Priya ma'am that a section session on POXO has already been. You already have undergone this session on POXO. So yes, if a child is sexually violated, now we have a very good law. I am seriously in love with POXO law, being a child right activist for so many years. And it's a very child-friendly law. It's a very sensible legislation, and it has very stringent provisions. If anyone tries to violate a child and even attempt an abetment of crime, in various categories: sexual offenses, penetrative sexual assault, non-penetrative sexual assault, child pornography, or sexual harassment. So in all these four different sets of offenses with varying degrees of punishments, provisions are very stringent, and in one situation even death penalty is imposed. And so all of us must be mindful of what and how we behave with our children today. And if any child is going through this kind of exploitation at home, then the child must inform a trusted adult, and in many such scenarios, our trusted adults become the teachers. That's why it's a responsibility of the teachers to, if any child is coming and confiding in them, then they must report this immediately to the police, and they must take action and provide help to the such child. And reporting is made mandatory under POXO, And the government has empowered the child welfare committee of different states and districts to take care of even the maintenance and shelter and the food and the education of a child if his or her own biological parents or grandparents or somebody in a close environment in their family, in the domestic environment, is exploiting them. So then they have a recourse, they have an alternate place where they can even stay and be taken care of. So this is the protocol that need to be followed when a child is sexually violated at home. Now there are, because all of us are must be bubbling with ideas that how to stop and address violence. See, if government has set up helpline numbers in coordination with the police of respective states as well as NGOs, then number one, they have addressed violence. Or second is the government also must offer a range of services, right from counseling to medical to shelter, or to accommodate such women who are victims of violence and abuse. And specifically during pandemic, they must be provided with a transport also to get out of the house to seek safety and security. And what I am doing now is educating the community to support survivors of abuse. Now you have a wonderful department of women's studies in your college, and what you can do is that create a network, create a support network, that if so and so situation happens, if any boy or any girl or their parents are facing any kind of violence at their home, so at least inform the support group, and the support group will then let you know that what are the legal remedies available to you and what are the government welfare schemes that you can seek benefit of, and how you can report abuse. You don't need to actually go to the doors of the police. You can now file an online complaint also, especially during pandemic. This is a very big relief that was given to many females and children also, that they can report any form of abuse online. So it saves them a lot of time, and many people are not comfortable, when they go and visit a police station. So that's why in such a way, in order to encourage more and more children and women to come forward and report about their crime or something that is that they are suffering with, then this kind of support system and this kind of redressal mechanism has been established by the Ministry of Women and Child Development for our own benefit. And in fact, the police are also sensitized that they have easy access must be there, must be provided to the complainants so that they can report FIRs at ease. And there are one-stop centers everywhere in India, and these are one-stop crisis prevention center, and they have been established after the gruesome Nirbhaya murder case, and after there was this comprehensive criminal overhauling of the criminal justice system. And so with that, there is this 181. Dial 181 is exclusively a helpline number which has not only a counselor but also a lawyer will be there, a doctor will be there, a police officer will be there. So a woman just need to dial 181, a girl just need to dial 181, and respective representatives from their district or city or state will come and help them and provide them all that they need, whether they need a medical aid or they need a legal aid, they need to file a complaint, before the police. So reporting in a way has become easier now with the establishment of 181 one-stop crisis prevention centers for women and children in India. And the next is initiate neighborhood campaigns to raise awareness and develop a support system. We don't know how many more pandemics we have to face in future. And this is just the beginning. That is what many medical experts are saying. So it's very important that such pandemic is affecting us even mentally, and we don't know that how where to go about it. So what can be done? All of you can come forward and you can start creating support groups. It's very important, domestic violence survivor support group, and sexual violence survivor support group, or child abuse survivor groups. So such groups will, when you know that okay, some other person has also gone through what you have gone through, and it is actually helping you to recover. And once you come out from your self harm, then you can live a normal life. And in this scenario, it will give a lot of confidence, it will boost your morale. And in fact, there have been many distressed women that came to me, and when they walked out of their marriages, walked out of their luxurious marriages, but the husband were treating them as objects and abusing them. And with proper guidance and counseling, now they have made their own life more beautiful, and they have evolved as human beings. So with right guidance and the support of support groups, and the importance of support groups, youth support groups, and student teacher support groups in such situations, it will definitely help not only curb and the such kind of violence inflicted against women and children, but it will also help sensitize the other gender, sensitize the men and the boys, that if they are being sensible, if they are being mindful, then a lot of mishappenings can be prevented in future. And we have to generate widespread media outreach. Now, when you know that we are living in the smart generation, in the internet generation, in the social media generation, so you as youth and you as teachers and educators, you have the power of the internet in your hand, and you can use this to create awareness, generate awareness, and this will empower the victims with survival strategies, that how they need to survive, what they can do, where they need to go, who will help them, how they will then normalize their life, and how will things neutralize. So all these things will in a way also push attitudinal change in the perpetrators. When the perpetrators will come to know that there is society who can provide protection, or the government, or the child welfare committees, or the women welfare committees are there to protect women from abuse, then even they will be more mindful, because now they know that they are being observed, and women are not afraid to raise a voice against their behavior and their attitude, and they can be booked and they can be imprisoned. So even they will try to, in a way, control their behavior. Because with pandemic, it's not only your mother who was there in the kitchen, it was you also who have taken the chores, and it was your father also, and your grandparents also. So everybody took charge, and that is how we are living without attendance in pandemic. So all of us have also learned life skill, that how we live to live life. We don't need to be dependent on our mothers, or it's not, household chores are not only the responsibility of the female gender, or the your sister, or the daughters. It is a equal responsibility of men and boys as well. And welcome to the new era of gender equality in India. You can jot down these numbers. They are these helpline numbers. They will save you. Dial 100, dial 112. Then you have this All India distress number for women helpline 1091. You also have women helpline number 181. And this is 181 One Stop Crisis Prevention Center. One Stop, which will provide you all kind of recourses that you need if you are victim of violence. And then National Commission of Women NCW, the numbers, as well as if you file online complaints specifically related to domestic violence during pandemic. So they have also shared their WhatsApp number, and online complaint can also be written through their complaint cell, and the email ID is given ncw@nic.in, and then student and child helpline is 10998. So you can take care of this. These might be helpful for all of you, and you might further forward it and circulate it among your friends and your colleagues and your relatives, cousins, and neighbors also. Now that we are all using smartphones, so there are certain personal safety apps that you can download. And I would also like to know from among the participants that how many of you have personal safety app? All of you have Google Play Store, all of you have Instagram, Facebook, Telegram on your this Microsoft Teams you have on your cell phone. But does any of you has personal safety app? My Safety Pin is a very nice. My Safety Pin is a very nice app. It's a very good app, and all these apps, they have these locations also, GPS locations also, and you need to feed 4-5 numbers, emergency numbers, and if there is a panic button also, you just need to press it, and the message of alertness then is circulated and forwarded to all the 5 numbers that you have already filled as your emergency contacts. So these are of great help. Family Locator is one. 112 app is also there for this is a very smart app. I use this smart 24/7 app. Now, this can be used even by senior citizens, by teachers, by women, and you can record voice and you can share photographs during a panic situation, and everything is then transferred to the police of your jurisdiction. And this one app, Shake to Safety, is a very nice app. Specifically for girls, it's very good. You just need to shake your phone. And if you have installed this app, you can just shake your phone and in a panic situation, and the message will be, police will be alerted, and the message can be circulated to your emergency contacts. Then Vidyu is an app formed by Channel V. It's also very good, which prepares you, and Be Safe is also a very trusted app that many women use. So you can, take advantage of technology. And as Priya ma'am had earlier mentioned, that all of you are really smart and really bright students, you can take the advantage of these wonderful apps for your own personal safety. Now, I think in between, I have told you regarding misuse of laws. So I just want to again bring this in front of all of you. I won't take much of your time. I have mentioned it earlier that even married daughters now are responsible to take care of their parents along with their brothers. When they are demanding property right in the property along with their brothers, then despite of the fact that they are married, they have a duty and responsibility to take care of their parents who might be in need of care and protection. And this is by virtue of Senior Citizen Act. Now, any woman or any girl who's misusing the laws which are meant for the protection of vulnerable women who are victims of abuse, if they are falsely implicating their husbands or their in-laws, so then they can be punished under section 211 of IPC for filing false case with the intention to injure the reputation of the other party, and the minimum punishment is 2 years along with fine for this. And other is section 182 IPC. If you give false information, there is a word known as perjury. If you are on oath and you have gone to a court and you are providing false information that you are victim or you have been violated sexually by your partner or by your boyfriend or by your living partner or your husband or your in-laws, and if you are going in front of a police or a court with the intent that they will use this power to held that person, the other person whom you are alleging liable, then also when it will be disclosed that you were the one who had gone with a vested interest to annoy the other party or to seek revenge of some kind, then you also will be punished with a minimum of 6 months along with fine. And any man or any boy or any husband who's been falsely implicated under a dowry prohibition act or under posh law or under domestic violence act or under IPC also, he can always file a defamation case against the wife. Once the judgment is passed, then he can go and again file a counter case against the wife or the woman who is falsely abusing the laws and misusing the power that is given to her for her protection. So what are the takeaways of today's session? I hope it was not very boring, but time is of essence, and I just want all of you to look into all these takeaways that you have been empowered with. That any victim of abuse, you must never live in a false hope that things will improve one day. Never give false hope to you. If a person is toxic, if a person is aggressive and abusive and alcoholic, things might not change. You have to change. Don't look for other people to save you from your abuser. Unless and until you are willing to fight, unless and until you are willing to speak up and take recourse of law, no one will come to your help. So you have to decide that today you have to fight your abuser. You have to fight your demon yourself. The third is, no one can help you if you are not willing to help yourself. So, and you must start loving your own self. Once you accept yourself and once you start loving yourself, then others love you or others accept you doesn't matter at all. Okay, because no one, it is said, there's a saying that no one will make you feel guilty without your consent. And the next takeaway point is, only you can take actions on your behalf, both legally and emotionally. And my dear participants, we are living in a technology era, but what we have to do, we have to be vigilant, we have to be aware, and we have to be safe, and we have to be mindful of our actions, our thoughts, our speech. And I think all of you know that whatever you have posted on your social media pages and accounts, or out of emotions also you say something and you express it, nothing will be deleted ever. All the data can be retrieved, so you must be knowing it, no? And that's why all of you have to be very mindful henceforth. And your future employers, you don't know, your future employers must be seeing you and must be doing study on your behavior also through your social media posts. So be very mindful henceforth. Okay, technology has made the world very close to us, but technology is also exposing about our own selves to the world at large. So we have to be mindful, and thank you everybody.
Thank you so much, Namrata ma'am. It was very helpful talk with you. Very nice. I personally like the numbers you shared and the apps you told for our safety. Now you can stop sharing, ma'am. Yeah. Thank you so much. If students have some question, they can ask. And one notice for students that
Yes.
I'm sharing one Google form as a feedback form. After filling this feedback, you will get certificate for this seminar. It is in chat box, and on our WhatsApp groups also you will get the link. And Namrata ma'am, students must be having some questions. So let them give opportunity to ask the question. I request all the students they can ask questions one by one.
नाव आहे बघा सीतारामन त्यांचं आडनाव आहे बरं का.
Amol.
Yes, ma'am.
कसं आहे
May I
सर
ask question, ma'am?
बऱ्याच
Yes, Megha.
Hi, yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for giving this chance. Ma'am, also already there is a POXO Act. Okay, then why there is a need to pass a Shakti Act by Maharashtra government? Yes, what is the difference between that Shakti Act and POXO Act?
See, as you have said that the Shakti Act is only applicable in Maharashtra, and POXO is a central act. POXO is one central act that is also applicable to the states of Jammu and Kashmir. So nationally it's applicable, but under the constitution of law, there is a provision that a state can step and come forward and formulate policies and laws if they feel that certain vulnerable sections and weaker sections of society will seek benefit from such laws. So maybe given the number of cases against crime against children in Maharashtra specifically were actually very high. And that's why the government of Maharashtra has taken a proactive step for curbing and combating crime against children.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
अजून कोणाला काही प्रश्न विचारायचे का? Raise your hands.
I have a question.
Yes.
So normally we have seen in domestic violence cases, when either of the party goes to an advocate, say tomorrow somebody comes to me, I have seen it often, and I'm talking it as a layman. Our fraternity suggests so many acts and so many things to it just to make the case stronger, right? There are hundreds of things which are added. It might be an offense in one or two accounts, but there are multiple things added. And then we talk about evidences, and this goes on for like really long time. And the protection has to be provided on the both sides. And in the meantime, children suffer as well because of separation or not separation. So, and this is a very critical issue. Is there any option to speed fast things, or make things faster so that at least kids are not affected out of all the decisions?
See, there is an option that we have to work about it. When many litigants will go to the court and to seek speedy trial and speedy justice. As in the case of child abuse, this has happened that all the special courts that are established under POXO have to complete and conclude the trial within 1 year. So the same, if it will be applicable to any in family law also, when husband and wife are fighting, then only then because this will be a procedural change, and for procedural change, when we are realizing this, and somebody any law student, you can file a PIL in respective courts and seek the intervention that the speedy trial is important in cases of divorce and domestic violence. When you will go as a proactive litigant for the betterment of all the other people who are suffering, only then something will happen, because this is a procedural change, and it can take place once you just like you are bringing this up after this session. I am happy that you are bringing this scenario, and I would encourage you that you go ahead and speak about this same. You create a report and find out research on the data available to you, that how children are getting affected, how broken marriages, what happened to such children, how these children also become either abusers, or they take psychotropic substances or drug addiction, or they are they take the wrong path. Why? Right. Because their parents are fighting and their parents are negligent towards their children. So India needs empirical data. So if you create a report along with empirical data and move PIL in code, then this situation will definitely be addressed. And as I rightly mentioned, that all of you are tomorrow, the future belongs to of our country belongs to you, and all of you already will become very good lawyers and very sensible lawyers if you take certain decisions like this and carry this voice.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next.
Ma'am, I
Yes.
would like to ask. Hello.
Please
I'm
go.
Santosh Kulkarni speaking. Yeah, during during her lecture, madam has said that the age of marriage for girls has been raised to 21 years. Ma'am, I think it is still under consideration. It is not yet final.
Yeah.
But still, I would like to ask, because we are really very fortunate to get you here, and an expert, a lady expert in the law, must be having some herself a comprehension whether this step towards raising the age of marriage for girls to 21 years will be safe or not. And the second thing is that there has been much more uproar and there has been much more mixture of thoughts over that. Particularly the personal laws are being interfered as is, because in some of the marriage laws, the age has already been under consideration, but that has not yet been changed. And particularly for Muslim laws, it is already much less. I think it is 15. Even if they don't even go for the calculation of age, even when the girl is mature, then they think that she is now eligible for marriage. So what is your opinion, ma'am, whether it will be better to raise it overall, barring from the personal laws, so straightforward to 21 years?
See, very good question raised by you. I think Shubham, right? Nee, Santosh. Okay. So,
Thank you, ma'am.
thing is that you are right that it is under consideration, it is debatable, and still it is not finalized. But talks are already going on and debates are already going on that raising the age of a girl child will maybe do good or bad to the girl. But this raising of the marriageable age for the girls is done with an intent, and the intent is to prohibit child marriages, because in many communities in India, in many states, child marriages are still rampant, and females at as young as 14 and 15 are married. And once they are married, then they are put into child trafficking and flesh trade. So they are married for trafficking as well. So in order to restrict it and in order to encourage more and more girls to become financially and academically sound, there was a need that even the marriageable age of girls need to be raised. So this will definitely in a way bring parity between men and women, between boy and girl. And now but let's see how it affects the society at large. So it is still debatable, uh, because there are many families which are economically not very sound, and they think that getting their daughters married at a young age might help them to get rid of liability of protecting children, girls. But still, let's see what happens.
Yes,
I
sir.
feel
It's
it
true.
is right. I feel the state is right. The government is right to bring a law in place in which the marriageable age of girls have risen. Because
That's great, ma'am.
when
Thank you, ma'am.
cases come before us and the cases that we represent in the court, so many women who are vulnerable and who are victims and survivors, they were not even educated, and they were not financially independent. So that way, how will they raise the child? Again, they are dependent on the filing section 125 maintenance cases against their husbands. And there are so many cases, different courts are bombarded with such cases. And still Women are not getting any money or any maintenance from their husbands. At one point of time, husbands just do not maintain such wife as well. So again, we have number of females who are victims this way. They are victims of financial independence. So the lawmakers, when they have thought of amending and raising the age of marriage, so one, they protected, they will in a way combat child marriage. Second, they will make girls financially independent. And again, when females are married at a very young age, then in many cases and data is available in front of the government and the Ministry of Women and Child Development, in which the young mothers, they they die, they become young mothers, and they suffer physically and mentally and emotionally, because they give birth to malnourished children. So again, for the upliftment, for the holistic development, the lawmakers feel that there is a need of raising the age of girls from 18 to 21. And but let's see what happens in respective societies, because awareness should be there, and parents will be also prosecuted under Child Marriage Restraint Act if they get their daughters married before the age of 21, or if before the age of 18, which is still prevalent. But I personally feel that we need progressive societies, and I do not mean that we overstep our responsibilities and overstep the laws that are that are given to us for our protection by misusing them.
Yes, ma'am.
But there is a greater segment of women who are in vulnerable position, and who are victims of financial freedom also, who don't even who are not even who haven't even studied till 8th standard or till 10th standard. So in order to we are living in 21st century, but still there are so many women who are like this, and that's why in order to save the daughters from future complications, the government feels and the lawmakers feel that by raising the child, maybe they'll do some good to the holistic development of the women and the girl.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. But ironically, we see that there are so many female lawyers also who are against raising this age. Rather than, they have also given one alternative to to make both the sexes also at the same age, that is 18, rather than making them 21 years of age, because they say that the generations have now become smarter, and therefore for both the boys as well as the girls, that should also waive off the parity. That will be good for parity, as well as both of them will be mature, rather than increasing the age of the female.
No, that is also right.
It's true. You said
that is why
quite
it's still
correctly.
That's why it's still under consideration. And again, when we are discussing this, that they want many female lawyers, they want that the age of marriage should be reduced when it for boys also, and made it 18. Maybe they are right, because again, POXO only covers and protects children of the age till 18 years, and there are many teenagers who want to explore their sexualities, and if they are in a romantic relationship, then they want to have sexual relations and want to get intimate with their partner. But now, with the advent of POXO, a female has an upper right over a male, and she can file a case against the men and against boys for sexually violating them or for raping them. So laws are of such kind, by virtue of law like POXO. This topic is under debate, and that is why many female lawyers think that maybe by reducing the marriageable age of boys also to 18, maybe we'll have solution. But let's see how we evolve as society and who wins. It is debatable. I am pro whether it I just want that females should not be devoid of their rights, and nobody should be forced to get married. I know that
Yes,
females
thank
are
you.
under more pressure from their parents that they have to get married. Men are not under that much pressure, but boys, young boys, they are under pressure to stand on their feet and become financially independent by their parents. And this, in a way, girls are under pressure to get married. So this pressure must not be there, not in any of the gender.
Yeah,
So
yes.
let's see how it evolves.
One last question, ma'am. Coming to the very point of our discussion today, there have been so many reports as such that during particularly that lockdown period, there have been an increase in the rate of domestic violence against women. Uh, as a lawyer and as you have also been working as a counselor of the women, uh, what uh, what is your perception, ma'am? Really, is it because of the lockdown that there has been an increase in the violence against women on domestic level?
See, it's a
What is the
well-worded
contributory
question.
part of lockdown? I could not understand that. And then that has been always a question in mind of all of us. How can this lockdown be connected with this domestic violence? Only the presence of male for a longer period of time in the home has raised it, or is it in the instinct itself that it should be reduced instinctively, in fact?
No, see, both are correct. Both scenarios are correct. That earlier men used to go out, and when they were under lockdown, so they remained at home only. Men used to go out with their male friends, and they used to go out to work. So they used to spend time outside, and women had freedom and liberty to live in their home according to their own wishes. But when most of the husbands in domestic setup in India are, I must say, they're kind controlling, and because we are all being raised in a patriarchal society, so in a way, when such control and power was only confined to home, so even men also felt that okay, they felt frustrated, I must say. And it's not that domestic violence was not visible before pandemic or before lockdown. Domestic violence had always been there, but it's highlighted more. The lockdown has highlighted and shown the nasty side of domestic violence, I must say. And that is why the number of complaints, number of distress calls that were made, daily from 2 to 4 o'clock, I receive calls from UP police from different districts, in which women or even in fact married men also seek our help and intervention. And there are many cases that go to an extent in which we have to ASAP, as soon as possible, as soon as we hear that complaint and we see the scenario is becoming very violent and aggressive, then we send the police team there and then. But there are many cases that we timely intervene, and both the parties are thankful that okay, as a third party, somebody has explained us that how we have to behave and live, and their marriage is saved. So government is also doing a lot. Earlier, only it was police responsibility. Now police is again overburdened with so much of responsibilities. That's why it was good that they delegated it to counselors, and we are trained, and we do take up cases as sensitive as suicidal cases as well, as sensitive in which a woman want to end their life, or a woman is just some steps ahead of getting burned. So we do take into account, and we have a network of a lot of counselors. We do keep on getting training also, and that ways even police is happy that counselors are helping us. And this in a way reduces a lot of litigation. Earlier, when everybody just thinks that okay, their rights have been violated and let's take the recourse of court, now they will think that okay, there's a helpline number 1090 in UP, and they can seek redressal or they can seek counseling session. And I am not talking that that we only counsel and advise married women and married husbands, married men. We are also counseling, divorced sisters who are living with their brother and sister-in-law, and we are also counseling the
Yeah, that is
siblings,
nice.
the
Great,
two
great, great,
siblings,
great,
brother
great,
and
man.
sister who
Yeah.
are living, and we are also counseling the daughter who is now a student and aware of her rights, and when she is filing a complaint against her controlling parents. So people
Thank you,
from
ma'am.
different segments in a domestic household are coming forward, and we counseled senior citizens also, in which a female who saw a 67-year-old female sought our intervention, and her married daughters were coming home and along with their father used to beat her. So we just also referred her to a expert in Telangana, and she was residing in Telangana. So we also referred a mental health expert, that she had to seek the services of a mental health expert on a regular basis also. So distress calls only when we are aware that of our rights and we are seeking help, then we come to know that okay, certain number of cases are being registered, and lockdown in a way helped India gather some conclusive data, some constructive data we have, in which earlier people were hesitant, but now
Yes.
they are coming forward and seeking help. So it's not that domestic violence was only rampant during pandemic or lockdown, but I will be wrong if I say that situations
Yes, yes.
had even
That's true.
intensified. Why? Because I've already mentioned that when you are frustrated, and so then you have some mental health issues as well. You are under stress, you have anxiety problems, and you don't know that life is uncertain. You don't know whether you will have a job to support the education of your children and your wife. So then you will feel angry, and you cannot go and meet your male friends. Then whom you will show your anger on? Either your children or your wife. So that was the thing that it
So,
was
lady becomes the
highlighted.
soft target as such.
Yeah, soft targets, and they are vulnerable
Madam,
in their
Thank you,
soft
madam.
targets.
Thank you, ma'am.
Madam,
Thank you very much.
in this context, I would like to ask one small question. Uh, I do agree with you, but in case of this COVID-19 pandemic, most of the family members were inside the home. Then it's slightly difficult to digest for me, because violence is usually committed when nobody is there usually, or when family members are away from house. But in this situation, when most of the family members are inside, then how it could be possible that we can say that increasing number of the violence in case of female?
When they were inside, and they were also silent perpetrators, they were also silent spectators. They did not see. We have addressed many cases in which they were in-laws also present, and the husband was beating the wife, and even in fact the children were also there, and they were also seeing it, but nobody raised voice, and nobody asked the husband to stop beating the wife. So in a scenario where all of us are also residing in the same family and same shared household, and if we do not step in and we do not stop a person, an abuser to inflict abuse, what will happen? Such cases will happen, and in many cases what happened were females were not given the cell phones even to contact us. So what they did, when from their house's window or balcony, they put this help sign in their hand, and they raise their hand, help, help. And in a way, milkman used to come or vegetable vendor used to come, and when they were taking vegetables or fruits or milk packets, then they used to write a slip that I am being violated sexually, or I am being, my husband is beating me, please call the police. So this way also people have taken recourse and addressed the situation when they are living with their own perpetrators. And there is something that as students and as advocates of protection of children as well as women's right, that there is something known as red dot or black dot. It's a universal help. If on your palm there is this big black dot that you have put on your palm, and if you are showing it to anybody, then this is a sign of asking for help from police. And this is universally acceptable method in which victims can seek help from anyone. So that's why awareness is the key. And you must be feeling shocked and surprised that, okay, when all family members are staying inside the same residence, but still why it is prevalent? Because nobody cared to stop their father from beating their mother. And because they think that it is normal for papa to beat mummy. And parents also think that, okay, between the matter of husband and wife, why should we interfere? And this sense of indifference, with technology, we have become a bit indifferent also towards our own family members, because we are always checking and scrolling the phone whenever mother is calling us to have food or to have healthy discussions without your cell phones. It is very difficult. This cell phone has become part of our life. It is like our best friends nowadays. So relationships are suffering everywhere. And I am seeing it because relationships become so vulnerable that they are coming to us, they are coming to lawyers, they are going to the courts. And in fact, the psychologists also feel this, that there is a lot of mental health problems and a lot of aggressions and anger in young, and even depression in small children that they are finding after lockdown. It's very important that we stay in an environment which is full of nature, and we breathe the fresh air, and we walk and we do exercise and we do physical activities. Otherwise our health and our mental health will suffer, and this will result in disturbing our relationships as well. So it was a lot of chaos that happened during lockdown, during pandemic, and because many cases were reported and people were seeking help, so at least we had a fair idea that something wrong was happening in the four walls of the family. And my dear participant, if you have already undergone POXO awareness session, you must be aware that 94 is a official figure now by National Crime Record Bureau, that 94% of perpetrators of child sexual abuse are their own people whom the child know. They might be their biological father or their grandfather or brothers. So we all are woken up to the ugly side of life, and this is only possible through technology, that at least all of you are fortunate that at least you are discussing this sensitive topic. Because when we were small and we were students, and when our parents were small, there was no law to protect them. There was no platform like this in which they could have discussed and share their thoughts. And we had to live with our abuse. We had to live a life of what do I say? Life of hell, and couldn't do anything, and we were really helpless. So all you children, you are really lucky, and you are very fortunate that we have at least proper laws in place for your protection. And as I said in my training also, that misuse of law must not be done, and it must not be encouraged. And sensitive and pragmatic and mature citizens are those citizens who will always never take law in their hands and always abide by the laws. And charity begins at home. All of you must first start respecting your own self, because all of you are unique. There is something particular in your personality that no one has. So all of you are unique. And second is, you must respect yourself. You must also respect your fellow brothers, your sisters, and women in general, and all of you must today go at home, and if you are viewing this training session from your home only, just go and at least hug your mother. Go and at least be grateful that you have mothers, and you have sensible father who's taking care not only of you but of your mother as well. And if you have such family which loves you, then you are, believe me, this is the new rich, I must say, and this is the new cool, and I must say that you are the most fortunate people in the world to have a family who loves you, cares for you, and you have a sense of belonging with them, because there are many families who do not have this luxury of family life.
Thank you so much, madam. It's a wonderful feeling being in talk with you, ma'am. So really, I hope it helps students to change their mindset and for making a very good building foundation of our culture, society. Okay, and we have taken so much time of yours, ma'am, in question answer session
It's a
also.
pleasure.
Previous to ending this session, I would like Dr. Mamta Parikh madam to present a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Advocate Priya Patil ma'am. I, Dr. Mamta Parikh, feel privileged to extend vote of thanks for today's important national webinar, The Shadow Pandemic Violence Against Women During COVID-19. I express my heartfelt gratitude to Advocate Namrata Mishra for bringing up this hidden truth and the ground reality and advising us for using the law sensibly and giving us many insights to our students, clearing their doubts. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving your valuable time.
Thank you so
I
much, everybody. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yes. I wholeheartedly thank Dayanand Education Society Principal Dr. Poonam Nathani ma'am for permitting and facilitating to conduct this seminar. We acknowledge and thank coordinator of today's program who has taken lot of efforts, Assistant Professor Dr. Priya Patil ma'am. Gratitude to Dr. Sangeeta Mahajan ma'am, who is the coordinator of Women's Studies Center. I thank the technical support. Last but not the least, thanks to all the students, staff, and all the and staff of Dayanand College Society for actively participating and making today's national webinar a grand success. Thanks once again.
My best wishes to all the participants and all the students for a bright and a promising future. And thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, ma'am. I request all the students to do fill the feedback and download your certificates also. Over to Priya, ma'am.
Thank you so much, all of you, for attending very gracefully and actively. Thank you. I'm ending the meeting. We will see in future for further more topics, and we will invite again you, ma'am.
Thank you. My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.